השם בחיי, אז אמרו לאלוהי ביומי ידי ירבו לו.
Page 91. רבי שמעון אומר, אחד גגין ואחד חצרות ואחד קרפיפות, רשות אחת הן. We learn in the Mishnah that Rabbi Shimon said, regardless if it's a roof, courtyards, enclosures, they're all one domain. When we discuss vessels that were inside those different properties on Shabbat, and when the Shabbat began, so the Mishnah said one carry those any one of these vessels to the other, which means if one needs to carry from one domain to another, he can do that. But the issue, the Mishnah said, it's when the Shabbat began, then we have issue of carrying. So I meant carrying inside the domain. So basically, so far we said that Rav rules according to Rabbi Shimon, but he explained that not in every situation he ruled like Rabbi Shimon. Amar Rav, הלכה כרבי שמעון והוא שלא ערבו, אבל ערבו לא. So we go to this machloket, the dispute between Rav and Shmuel. If we have a roof of a house together with the yard, so we take these vessels from those houses and we can carry from the house to the courtyard. But he said, if the people in the courtyard not make an independent eruv, so we cannot carry even those vessels that we have in advance from one courtyard to another. The reason is the gazrin al dilma atela puke mani levatim lechatzer, that the rabbis put a decree and they said that one come to take out the vessels from one house to the courtyard. So in other words, the gzera, the decree is, if you allow to carry from one courtyard to another those vessels, so the people can go further and understand that they can take some vessels that already inside the house and now they're outside and carry them. So basically the whole idea is that now all the vessels is in the yard, and the Ritva said that people go to carry from one courtyard to another courtyard. So the key point is that even you have something that basically we're allowed to do, which means take a vessel from one domain to another, meaning one from the house to the courtyard, people will go ahead and take it to a different courtyard that do not establish a roof, and that's prohibited. So again, you have a courtyard, you have a house, you carry, but the fear is that the minute you allow that, people go ahead and start carrying to other courtyard. So that's the way Ritva understand it. Shmuel Amar. Shmuel explained it differently, meaning he disagreed. He said, Ben ervu, ben shelo ervu. In other words, Rabbi Shimon allowed to carry those utensils regardless. V'chen amar Rabbi Yochanan, mi lechashcha. Who told you the difference between situation that they make in the roof, the situation that's not? Lachashcha, it's like Who told you this secret? The Rashbam said. Ben Ervu uben shelo Ervu. So whether they established an Eruv or did not, so regardless, you're allowed to do it. Who told you that? He says, Matkif la Rav Chizda. לשמואל ולרבי יוחנן יאמרו שני כלים בחצר אחד זה מותר וזה אסור. So here is the point. Imagine you have 8 people, and let's say when you're having 8 people, let's call it name Reuven, the first one. So Reuven, he is within the 4 cubits on the right side. Then we go to Shimon. He is the 4 cubits on the left side. So you have together 8. Now you have in the middle Levi. So you have here 2 on the right, 2 on the left. 2 amot on the right, 2 amot on the right. So according to Rabbi Shimon, it's not a problem. Why? Because Levi basically carried 2 and 2. He doesn't have this concern of Chash Shema Yavir, that maybe carry. So what we understand, this is basically what the Ritva explained to us. So Rabbi Shimon Etamei, the Lo Gazar, the Rabbi Shimon is the reason why he did not issue a decree to do this concern. And he said in bringing a Mishnah that we studied earlier, page 45b. Amar Rabbi Shimon, lema davar dome. We over there discuss Hilchot Tchumin, and meaning that if someone was in Shabbat on his way, so you have only 4 cubit, cannot go elsewhere. So here is an example, illustration 321. Everyone see it? Yes?
Yes.
No, okay. לשלוש חצרות הפתוחות זו לזו. 1, 2, 3, courtyard at the open. ועירבו שתי החצרנות עם האמצעית, היא מותרת עמהן והן מותרות עמה. So you have this development, and these two make an Eruv together with the middle one. So this one can carry outside, and they can carry here. Now, ולא גזר, אני said, החיצוניות, ושתי החיצוניות אסורים זו עם זו. In other words, this one can carry here, this one can carry here, but this and this is forbidden. ולא גזר, דילמה אתלה פוקימן נדה החסר לה החצר. אך אינם אלו גזרים דילמה אתלה פוקימנים דבתים לחצר. So he said, the fear is that the minutes you go here, people can go and carry this way. So he said basically this is the decree that we don't put. In other words, this property can carry here, this property can carry here. We understand that this one cannot carry here. But to say that this one cannot carry here because maybe they're going to carry here, that's a decree that we don't do. We don't rules. Clear?
Yes.
Mativ Rav Sheshet. So Rav Sheshet asked on this word of Rav in the Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon אומר, אחד גגות ואחד חצרות ואחד קרפיפות, רשות אחת הן לכלים ששבתו בתוכן, ולא לכלים ששבתו בתוך הבית. So he said, we learn in that Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon said, again, roofs, courtyard, enclosures, they are all one domain with regard to vessels that were inside them when Shabbat began. But they are not one domain with regard to vessels that were inside the house when Shabbat began. So what we understand? So he said, I amar bishlama de'ervu, haynu de'mashkachat lamane de'batim lechatzer. So if you said that the resident of the courtyard established an Eruv, so fine. So we find vessels that were taken from one house in the courtyard. Why? Because we said that the vessels were in the house at the beginning of Shabbat, so they don't. We shouldn't move them to a different courtyard. Now, so basically the rule is kelim sheshavtu betoch habayit asur letaltel. The vessels that are inside the house we cannot carry. אלא היא אמרת בשלא ערבו היכא משכחת למאני דבתים בחצר. If you tell me that Rabbi Shimon hold the way that Rav hold, that the people in the courtyard did not make a roof together, how is that possible that they carried the vessels from the house to the courtyard? How we found situation like that? He doesn't put this decree only apply to vessels that inside the house. So why Rabbi Shimon needs to tell us that you cannot carry utensils from one courtyard to another? Maybe they cannot be in the courtyard at the first place. So he said, Hu motiv la vehu mefarek la bechumta vesudra. So they said that Rav Sheshet raised an objection and he resolved it, to refer to a case with a hat or a shawl. So it means, the Ritva explained that it's called Hotza'ah derech malbush. We basically, in general term, not allowed to carry if it's no Eruv, right? Now, if I wear my jacket, I have no problem, even it's no Eruv. Why? Because I'm wearing my jacket. So here they speak about kumta vesudra, hat or in the shawl. So if you see derech malbush, if you did it while it's like in a carry, so the Ritva asks, what's the difference between if they make an Eruv or not? So the answer, he said that there is a concept that's called shachiach. It's something that it's common. So he said, if they made an Eruv, that it's common, but if it's not, then it's a milta lo shchicha lo gazru rabbanan. If something that it's not common, the rabbis did not put a decree. So we turn to page 91. Tashma, אנשי חצר ואנשי מרפסת ששכחו ולא ערבו. Here we have a סדרת ראיות, a list of proof. We said the residents of the houses that open directly into a courtyard, and the resident of the upper stories that open onto the balcony from which the stair leads down to that courtyard. Now they forget, did not establish a rule between them. So they said a mount or a pillar, anything that 10 handbreadth high, is attributed to the balcony in term of the use on Shabbat. So here you see the picture. This is the yard, and this is the 10 handbreadth. This is the people in the balcony, this is the people in the yard. So they said, Rashi explained, even that people in the balcony go to a public domain using this ladder, but they do not carry a prohibition for people in this part not to go. There is a concept we learned earlier, if you remember. If something comes easy and something is hard, in other words, one group it's hard for them, the other group it's easy. We always go by the one that is very easy. It's called notnim leze shebenoach. We go by the one it's easy. So we said כל שגבוה 10 על המרפסת, 10 and bread to the balcony. So we said you can carry to the balcony, but from the yard you cannot carry. פחות מכאן לחצר. But if less than that, which means lower than that, is attributed to the courtyard. So Rashi here explains in my book, Biruei HaKlomar Berashi al Hashas. Rashi explains here, and he used the word Klomar, that this is something, by the way, I find also in the book called Leshon HaZahav, that basically it's explanation why we go in that way, that some people can carry to the yard and some not. So he said אף לחצר ושניהם אסורים בו, even to the courtyard and both. So in a Hava Amina, in the way that we thought originally, it was a question why. Anyway, I encourage you to read here in a book the full explanation. במה דברים אמורים שהיו אלו של רבים ואלו של רבים, which means that there are many people in that open spot. וערבו אלו לעצמם ואלו לעצמם, and each of them make an Eruv independently, או של יחידים, which means that they have only one balcony or one yard, שאין צריכים לערב, that you don't need to make the Eruv together. אבל היו של רבים ושכחו ולא ערבו. However, if it was a residence, the courtyard and the balcony were many, and they forget and did not make an Eruv, so they said גג וחצר ואכסדרה ומרפסת כולם רשות אחת. So roof and the balcony, roof and courtyard and the portico and the balcony, it's considering one domain. So you can carry from one another any vessel that located in them when Shabbat began. And he said, Tama delo irvu, ha'irvu lo. The reason that you can carry, it's because they each of them did not make independent Eruv. But if each of them make their own Eruv, so that's the way we explain in the Braita that they cannot do it. It's prohibited to carry between them. So the Gemara rejected it and said, Hamani, who is this opinion? It's not Rabbi Shimon, Rabbanani, because they said that both the courtyard and the roof, it's one domain. Daikanami is another proof, the Loktani Karpafu Mavoish Mamina. So the way that the style, written in the Braita, it's also precise. It's not teaching the case of an enclosure and the alleyway. So therefore, we learn that the Gemara conclude. We learn from here that it's correct understanding, which means that this Braita is follow the Chachamim, the sages, and not Rabbi Shimon. And you cannot prove from the word of Rav. Now, if you look at the next illustration, number 323. Tashma. חמש חצרות הפתוחות זו לזו ופתוחות למבוי. The Ritva explains why they use specifically chatzerot. But anyway, if you have these 5 courtyards that open to each other and also open to the alleyway, see 5 opening from 5 different courtyards. So he said, ושכחו כולם ולא ערבו. If they forgot that establish an עירוב, אסור להחליט להוציא מחצר למבוי, מבוי לחצר. You cannot carry from the מבוי to the courtyard and vice versa. וכלים ששבתו בחצר מוטל לטלן בחצר. Which means any vessels that was in the yard, you can carry them in the yard. And Tosfot explained that you can carry even to other yards. Why? Because as far as the vessels, all these yards considering as one. So he said, Uva mavoi asur, but in an alleyway it's prohibited. Rabbi Shimon matir. Rabbi Shimon allowed to carry something that was in the courtyard to the alleyway. שהיה רבי שמעון אומר כל זמן שהן של רבים ושכחו ולא ערבו, גג וחצר ואכסד ומרפסת וכרפה ומבוא, כולם רשות אחת. If it belongs to a public and they forget to make an eruv, is no difference between all this roof and courtyard and portico and balcony. All of them, it's considering as a alleyway. It's all one domain. So we classified all of them as a private domain, and therefore it's permitted to carry from one of them. Tama delo irvu. The reason that carrying it with them is permitted is that they did not establish an own eruv. Wherever ha irvu, lo. But if they make an eruv, establish an eruv, so then we said no. So umay lo irvu. And what does that mean when you use the term lo irvu? Lo irvu bahade adade. Ha chatzer uvatim irvu. So you talk about they did not establish eruv with each other. But if you talk about the residents of each courtyard, establish an eruv with the resident of the house inside it, so you can carry between them. That's the opinion of Shmuel. So the Gemara asks, "Veha lo ervu ktane," but we said that in the Braita that they did not establish eruv. So if they did not establish eruv, how do you explain it? So, which means that not each courtyard did it independently. So he said, "Ma'ilo ervu lo nishtatfu." So when you use the word not establish an eruv, it means that it did not merge in the courtyard facing the alleyway, which is called shitufei mevoot. Because sometimes we call shitufei mevoot eruv. V'bai tema, another option. רבי שמעון לדברי דרבנן כאמרו, לדידי לא שנה ערבו ולא שנה לא ערבו, לדידך עוד ולמיעדיך עוד ולמיעדיך לא ערבו רשות אחתי. Rabbi Shimon said to them, look, the way that I understand, my own opinion, there is no difference if they establish an eruv and there is no difference that they did not establish an eruv. He said, however, the way that you understand, you agree with me that when they did not establish an eruv, it is all considered one domain. So he said, and therefore if it's one domain, so it's not the issue. אמרו לרבנן, לא, שתי רשויות. The sage said to him, no, yes, it's fine, we agree with you that if it's a roof or courtyard or all the other portico, balcony, it's fine, but in the cases of the enclosure, and the alleyway we disagree. There are two separate domains, and therefore it's prohibited to carry from one to the other. Amar Mar uvamavoy asur. So the Mar said in the Braita, which means one of the sages, he said in the alleyway it's prohibited, which means when vessels or a courtyard at the beginning of Shabbat, so you can carry inside the courtyard, but in the alleyway we cannot carry. Leiva Meseyah Rabbi Zera Amar Rav. Can we bring this as a proof to what Rabbi Zera said that Rav said? What? מבוי שלו נשתפו בו אין מטלטלים אלא בארבע אמות. If it's an alleyway that which is not merged courtyard facing one, carry within only 4 cubits, that it have the same as a Carmelite. So the Gemara rejected and they said Eima velamavoy asur. So the Gemara said, no, you mean to say that it's only in the alleyway is prohibited, which means the idea of prohibited to carry from the courtyard to the alleyway, but within the alleyway itself it's not an issue, you can carry. So the Gemara said, I know Reishaz, that's exactly what we said in the first clause in a Braita, that you cannot carry in and out from the courtyard to the alleyway. So why we repeat it? So they said, Mishnah Yetera Itztrichalei. We need this superfluous teaching, like another Mishnah, we need it for a reason. You may say that when the sages and Rabbi Shimon disagree and cannot and forbid to carry between courtyard to the alleyway, you may say that it's only apply when they each courtyard made independent eruv. So therefore the vessels in those houses, they are basically in the courtyard, and then you put a decree not to carry. But if they don't make an eruv, did not establish an eruv, so they agree with him, and basically they said that they agree with Rabbi Shimon that it's not allowed to carry from the courtyard to the alleyway. Kamash Melan. So they come and teach us that what? That even they did not make an eruv, the sages disagree, and which means that at least one of those braitot has to be in a situation that they make an eruv, and the other one is not making eruv, and in both cases you cannot carry between the courtyard to the alleyway. Now we back to the disputation between Rav and Shmuel in regard to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. Amar le Ravina le Rav Ashi. Ravina said to the Rav Ashi, page 92, Mi amar Rabbi Yochanan hachi. Is that really what Rabbi Yochanan said, that we go by Rabbi Shimon, that you can carry from one courtyard to another courtyard and to the roof, etc., even the courtyard did not make an eruv with the houses? Amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha kestam mishnah. As you know, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi put in order all the mishnayot. So when he saw that the halacha is according to one of the sages, he put it as a stam mishnah. It's a general mishnah. He doesn't mention the name, so we can make an halacha accordingly. But because this statement mishnah appear like it's the opinion of the sages, that's the way he put it, and that's basically accepted. This rule of Rabbi Yochanan accepted to halacha. There are those who disagree, but that's basically Amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha kestam mishnah, that he said that halacha is according to an attribute mishnah. Utnan, we learn earlier in page 76b. כותל שבין שתי חצרות גבוה 10 ורחוב 4, if you have a wall between two courtyards that they have the heights of 10 hand breadth and they have the wide of 4 hand breadth, מערבין שניים ומערבים אחד, which means the people in the yard make an independent Eruv and the people in the houses make independent Eruv, ואין מערבין אחד, but they cannot combine an Eruv together because you have a wall in between and there's no entrance. היו בראשו פירות, if at the top it was some fruit, some produce, אלו עולים מכאן ואוכלים, ואלו עולים מכאן ואוכלים. Each of them, if you remember, we study it, each of them come and eat. ובלבד שלא יורידו למטה, with only with the idea that they ascend, they may not put the fruits down from the wall, because the wall is 4 hand breadth wide, so we consider that wall as independent domain, and it's not abrogated to the neither one of those courtyard. So therefore you cannot carry from that to the courtyard. So what do we understand from that? That the regular idea of Stam Mishnah, if you don't specify it with Mishnah, we go by halacha accordingly, that you cannot carry those fruits you have in the courtyard from one to another. So how can Rabbi Yochanan rule follow according to Rabbi Shimon that you can carry from one courtyard to another? And if you tell me that Rabbi Shimon differentiate between situation that you put in Eruv to situation that you not, and he only allow when you do not make an Eruv, you may say that halacha it's according to this Stam Mishnah, and you speak about each and every courtyard make independent Eruv, and therefore you cannot carry from that wall to the courtyard, etc. So he said, so how he explained this Mishnah that we should follow halacha according to this Mishnah. Mai lemata, what is the meaning of the word down in this context, in the Mishnah? Doesn't mean that you take the fruit to the courtyard, that's really allowed. Only lemata labatim, it means down to the houses, which means that you not allowed to carry between the courtyard and the wall, that it's basically independent domain, to the houses in a different domain without making a Eiruvei Chatzerot, a joining of a Eruv in a courtyard. Ve'atan Rabbi Chia learned in this Braita, ובלבד שלא יהיה זה עומד במקומו ואוכל וזה עומד במקומו ואוכל. This is the condition Rabbi Chia said, it explicitly he said, provided that neither will this one stand below in the place in this courtyard and eat, and the other not. So this Braita come and explain the Mishnah. It means that the explanation of the Mishnah is that you cannot take down this produce to the courtyard to eat them there, and it's not according to Rav Ashi that the prohibition is to carry to those houses. So Rashi brought here a different girsa, and he wants to explain to Ravina that you cannot put the fruits to the courtyard. So Rav Ashi basically respond to that, and he said, "Amar lei v'chi Rabbi lo shna'a, Rabbi Chia minayin lo." Since Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is the one who put the Mishnayot together, and he did not mention that, so how Rabbi Chia, which is a student of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, that put the Braitot, how we know it? So it has to say that Rabbi meant you should not carry to those houses, but you can carry to the courtyard. That's the way Rashi understands. But the Rashba and Ritva and Tosfot Arosh they said that that's not the halacha and we cannot depend on this braita. Now the Gemara bring a Amoraic disputation in regard to a specific situation, that when each of the courtyard make independent Eruv, you cannot carry from one courtyard to another, even according to Rabbi Shimon. Here is a picture number 324. איתמר, שתי חצרות וחורבה אחת ביניהן. Two courtyard and a ruined property in between them. ואחת ערווה ואחת לא ערווה. One make an error, for example, this one, and this one did not. So this is a disputation. אמר רב הונא נותנים אותה לזו שלא ערווה. You put it in the one that did not make an eruv, which means that you can carry vessels that that in this yard to the ruined property. אבל שערווה לא, but one that make an eruv, no, you cannot carry from that one to the ruined property even vessels that was in that yard. Why? דילמה אתי לאפוקי מני דבתים לחורבה. Maybe people go to carry from this courtyard to the ruined property also some that was inside the house. So the reason for that is because if you allow them to carry from here to here, then people will go ahead and understand that so that it can go further to carry. So in other words, since we said that we can carry, so the point is this: the people here in the yard that did not make an eruv in the courtyard, they are the first place did not carry anything from their houses to here because there's no eruv, right? So therefore, it's not a concern. But these people, since they're allowed to carry from the house to the yard, right? So then the issue that they may go ahead and carry to the other domain, the ruined property. So therefore, they put the decree even for the vessels that you have in the courtyard. So to answer your question, is the whole idea that since the people here, just for our understanding, this one is the one who make an eruv, they establish an eruv, so there is a concern, a chashash that they can go ahead this way, but people here that did not establish eruv in the first place, so it's a since the resident of the courtyard that did not establish eruv, they're not going to carry from here to here, so it's not an issue. Now we said v'chia barav amar af l'she'irva u'shtehem asuot, and Chia Barav said that so it even he make an eruv, and from both property you cannot carry to the ruined one, even from that one that did not make independent eruv, because the sages put a decree that applied to both. So if the people from here will see people from here that carries, and vice versa, they're going to carry as well. So the sages put a decree that in both cases. Ve'im tomar, and if you come and say that shtehem mutarot, just go the opposite direction, that both of them allowed. So here I explain in my book, Biura Klomar Berashi al Hashas, there is a Rashi here, long one. So the Avnei Shaish brought a book called Avnei Shaish that he tried to say that Rashi tried to go to the opinion what Tosfot meant, that why you not allowed to carry between the 1 yard that make an eruv to another. But I do not agree with what Rabbi Shaish said, especially since you have the Ritva here that said it clearly that that this is the Gzerah. So the big question here, why you cannot carry from one that make an eruv that one did not make an eruv? That's what I understand Rashi uses Klomar, but it's a long writing here. So if you want, you're very welcome to read it in the book. מפני מה נותנים אין נותנים חצר שלא ירבה לחצר שירבה? What's the reason that go the opposite way, that both of them allow to carry, that they both can carry to the rune, which means the rune belongs even to the resident of the courtyard that establish an eruv, and it is permitted for a resident of both to carry the rune. Why? So he said, מפני מה נותנים חצר שלא ירבה לחצר שירבה? הטעם כיוון דמינטרי מנה דבתים לחצר עד לאפוקי. הכה בחורבה כיוון דלא מינטרי מנה דחצר בחורבה לא עד לאפוקי. So he said, the only reason is that the people basically save those vessels in a yard. It's not going to lose them. People, so therefore we have a concern that people may carry from one yard to another. By the way, Rashi said he also Klomar, and I explained it in the book. But over there in the rune property, that you have 2 yards, as we explained, you have 2 yards that have a rune property in between them. So he said, because those vessels will be well saved in the rune property, so so he said, usually people don't bring their vessels there because people sometimes concerned that it may be someone steal it, etc. So therefore the word of Rav Afli Shirva, it means that both, according to this opinion, both courtyards can carry to that rune property. Ve'ika de Amri, there is another way to understand it. said Chia barav amar Afli Shirva ושתיהן מותרות, ואם תאמר שתיהן אסורות, לפי שאין נותנים חצר שלא ירבה לחצר שירבה. So maybe you said that they both are prohibited because the sages not confer a right to carry in the courtyard that not establish an eruv to the resident of the courtyard they establish an eruv. So he said, "Hatam keman demin tereman lebatim bechatzer usharu b'Rabbanan." Again, because most of the vessels were well kept in the yard, so the sages not allowed to carry them from one yard to another, even those vessels that in a courtyard. Why? The atel apuki, because people are going to carry them. Aval bechurva la minterei. But in the case of rune, the vessels are not protected, which means people can lose them or it can be stolen. So he said lo minterei, it's not protected, and usually people do not carry vessel to that rune property. So you do not put a decree that of those vessels that you have in the yard because of the vessels in the house, because again we go to the key opinion that we said that milta de lo shchiche lo gazrebu rabbanan. The Ritva tells us that something that it's not common, the rabbis did not put a decree, and therefore both courtyards allowed and is no concern. Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 372. It's permitted to carry from courtyard to roofs and to enclosures. So if you need to carry from the courtyard to the roof or the enclosures, so he said, even if the residents of each courtyard established a separate Eruv, and that's halacha, follow Rabbi Shimon. Again, it's the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 372.